Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. All right, so Thursday. Week's going by quickly here. We do have some news coming real quick. Let's just wait until the news, shall we? Let's just come over to the main camera here. Good morning, Octavius. And see how the jobless claims goes. Let's see here. We did get U.S. Challenger layoffs earlier, 57.72K. Higher than last time. Let's see here. We also got a 4-week bill auction. Some Japanese numbers tonight. I think things will be relatively constrained, though, if we've got non-farms tomorrow, right? And it looks like I'm having a few indicator issues to investigate. Oh, actually, it's not an indicator problem. It's a data problem. All right, here we go. A little bit of a jump up here. Okay, so higher than forecast, 224 versus 215. So there was like the initial knee-jerk reaction higher, which I think is correct, but it doesn't seem to be holding very well. I'm not really seeing strong volume come through on it. The balance is slightly in favor of buyers at the moment, so I wonder if we get another buy day today. Well, let's come in and look at the charts and see where we're at compared to yesterday, right? That's probably the first place that we should start. So, by the way, don't let me go over today because I got a meeting at 9. So, yesterday, we had a pretty decent move up during our session. It was yesterday was a really nice reversal, really. And then not too bad overnight coming back down. S&P 500 still just chugging along, new highs every day. Oil coming back down to the lower end of its range. So this little jump here did not hold. Gold and silver just going sideways here as well. Silver recovering a little bit. Copper. Man, copper just has not looked good recently. I mean, there was a time when copper was the star, but when copper doesn't go, it does not go. Japanese yen. Okay. Just kind of staying in the same range after falling a little bit from yesterday, and the dollar index still around 106-ish area. But I think the big star overnight, yeah, well over 100,000 now in Bitcoin, and now at 105. In fact, at what point do we have to like do a split in Bitcoin or something like that? You know, because I think that I can't keep track of 6 digits. This is too much. Too much. Well, I do have to say, though, it seems like it was really hard for them to get 100K. Now, I think that the movement was driven by, Donald Trump's cabinet picks. So what pushed him over there? I don't know what else is going to push volume in Bitcoin, to be honest with you. Hentelag, how have you been? Haven't you seen me in a few weeks? Okay, so which one of these died? Is this one? Ah, so fascinating. It must be a bug that I've fixed in the market order imbalance in the resting orders, but it's not fixed in level 2 changes and largest resting orders. So I'll have to take a look at that. But other than that, I think we're okay there. So I don't think that should be too big of a problem. Oh yeah, you know, I was gonna bring that up at some point, Uzi, but the story this morning about the shooter of the United Healthcare chief executive Brian Thompson wrote, "Deny, defend, depose on the shell casings left at the scene." ABC News reports. The words echo the name of a book about how insurers won't pay claims. So it does very much seem like this was a guy with a what would we call it? A political motivation, maybe a personal vendetta against United Healthcare. I tell you what, watching the way that this thing, first of all, the story has become a lot bigger than I thought it would be. But maybe I should have expected that at the same time, right? It's like, you know, some brother in the hood gets shot down every day, nobody cares. But you kill a CEO, national manhunt, it's crazy, right? But you go into the comments on Reddit, and just all of the comments are about how wonderful Obamacare is. You notice that? Obviously, I'm being facetious there, but like, man, people really, really hate, well, all insurers, but United Healthcare in particular. And it just, like, I'm just sitting there like, man, Obamacare really is a dismal failure, isn't it? Like, it solved the one problem. It solved the one problem that was, if you had a pre-existing condition and then you lost your insurance for some reason, like you lost your job and there was a lapse in insurance, and then you were uninsurable, right? But that's like all it fixed. That's like the only thing that it fixed. The costs have all gone up. The insurance companies play games with people more than ever. I tell you what, man, I have spent literally days sometimes. There were times where I was on the phone. I had insurance and all this stuff. I'm on the phone literally all day to get my insurance to pay for medication that's, you know, like $1,000 a month. Good grief. Now I'm persistent, so I figured out how to work the system, right? But not the only one having problems, apparently. So this is turning into a significant cultural event, isn't it? You know what else I think is funny? On this light that I see in the comments is all the liberals that are like, well, maybe now we'll finally get gun control. once the rich people are the ones that are getting killed. Yeah, no, that's not the way that it works, bro. It's not what's gonna happen. It just means that the CEOs are gonna hire more security is what's gonna happen. Predators or something, right? So there really is a bubble there, and their intuition is screwed up. It is, because their initial thoughts on certain news stories is just absolutely crazy and dumb. So that reminds me of something else I saw on TikTok yesterday, actually. It really annoys me when you make a comment and you think that it's a good comment, and then that video doesn't take off, so nobody sees it or replies to it or anything like that. so it's kind of like this. But I there's this video, and it's this lady in a car, and she is such a stereotypical look. Oh my gosh. So one of the things that I don't get is there's the blue hair look, and isn't the blue hair look all about being unique and special and everything? But then they just all do the same thing. So this was one where she didn't have blue hair, but she had the Elvis haircut. You know what I'm talking about? When women do the Elvis haircut sort of a thing, right? And she was a fish face too, overweight and a fish face, which is indicative of somebody that breathes through their mouth and has anxiety. Is what I think when I see that, anyways. And she was complaining that at school, the school was going to ban cell phones. And so she would have no way to contact her children during school. And she went on this big long rant about how, we have good reason to be concerned about our children's safety because this past week, somebody tried to bring a gun to school and there was a fight at school and all of these things. And I'm oh, and I'm sure that the only reason that your kids are safe now was because of your prompt intervention in the situation. Come on. What are you going to do? I've actually seen studies that suggest that the parents being able to contact the students during an emergency situation makes things worse. Meanwhile, you're absolutely decimating your kids' education because everybody's texting all class. Yeah, no, I think that should be. I'm shocked that that's not the rule, that you don't pull the cell phone. You can have a cell phone on you, but you don't pull it out during class. How is that not the rule? Crazy. It's crazy. And Steph, good morning. So now that I've thoroughly scared off all the liberals this morning, the treasuries are down. So those jobless claims that really did not hold. In nature, animals often evolve bright colors to warn away predators of their toxicity. Have you seen all this stuff like Portland? Portland has really developed a culture that is specially liberal, apparently. And I've seen so many videos for some reason. I don't know why it shows me these, but I've seen so many videos where people are saying these TV shows and stereotypes and things that you see on the internet about Portland. They're not caricatures. That is exactly what it's like. Okay. Okay. I'm wondering here. Okay, so I'm not necessarily seeing huge volume on this drop here. So it kind of seems to me that like the market makers are maybe in charge of this market and that they're kind of leaning towards the getting out of the way on the sell side still. Yeah, because you see there, like that was just like 3 ticks down on 200 contracts each. Now that does probably presuppose that like if we're going to take a direction, maybe it should be a sell, but it kind of sets up the sort of trade that we've seen, well, let's say several times this week, where at first it really does seem like the flow is to the downside and then a buy flow comes through, like the real volume comes in on the buy side. We'll see. The Japanese yen is falling here as with it as well, so I think that there's probably a lot of correlation with the Japanese yen. You know, this move actually doesn't quite fit on a number of measures here. Yeah. So like what I'm seeing is I'm not sure I can think of a time when I've seen it like this where, I mean, granted it's like early in the session and everything, and these lines are being drawn from the regular session. But it's unusual for them to be below the blue dotted line like for that long and that clearly. And meanwhile, like when I zoom out, it looks like the market makers have been getting stuck with the buy inventory all through the overnight session. So I do think that the amount of volume in the overnight isn't a ton, but I'm really concerned about what this is going to do when an actual meta order comes through. Because if a meta order long comes through, there's really going to be a lot of people off sides. And if it comes through short, then like you're probably really going to see people pile on. So, and now it's tough because now the other thing that's contradictory here is that I'm not expecting a big meta order to come through today because tomorrow is non-farms. So like I've got something that looks like a, you know, just like ready to explode, but my larger flows, my larger predictors of order flow suggest that nothing's going to happen. But I guess if nothing's going to happen and they have too much buy inventory, then it is a long. Octavia says he's short and going for 26. See, look at that, man. Because I'm thinking here, now I'm thinking, okay, well, so based on my flows, I should expect the market maker to be in charge. And if that's the case, then probably it needs to bounce back up to rebalance the inventory. But it was just barely up there. So maybe that part's not true. But even if I thought that it was going to, I really don't think I can talk myself into a trade long here. Because the bids just completely melt in front of the move, you know? So I'm just going to sit on my hands and see what this does. I do think it is, the Japanese yen seems to be a key part of this as well, so... I have this watermark on this chart and it's like too big. I'm gonna change that. Let's make it like 36. I can go even far bit bigger than that. Maybe 72. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep a close eye on it because there is this thing going on over here in our arresting orders as well. So kind of giving us a hint that a change is coming into the market. Gotta think. I've got marketing on my mind. Today is actually, I spent a lot of time doing we had some research where we're looking at like different influencers and stuff. I kept looking at it. Oh my gosh. Like, first of all, going through that, it just reminds me of everything that I hate about trading influencers on YouTube. Like other things that other YouTube channels do that I refuse to do, that it just drives me absolutely insane. So like I came across one channel that, this is a pretty big channel. Like I think that they were in the 200,000 subscribers. And oh my gosh, they had so many videos, like long format videos, that they had to have been putting videos out every week for years and years and years. So many videos. And every single one of them had the craziest, most clickbaity titles. It's just made me sick looking at it. It's like, oh, I don't know if I actually want to work with that person. That's kind of a little silly. But then I was like, okay, so what do they have stuff they're promoting? They actually had their own indicator suite. And they were selling this indicator suite for like $200. And it was all a bunch of stuff that I was like, I could write this indicator suite in an afternoon. Like, I can't believe that people pay $200 for that. I'm going to bet that he doesn't make that much money from selling his indicator suite, but. And then it just got me even more on the like, well, we have a really, really good set of indicators and a really unique set of things. And I just don't market it. People just don't know about it. We got to do better. Got to do better with that. And, well, what do we focus on the most? Well, I think the one that people are the most interested in is the inventory cost basis, right? Because that's kind of the way to suss out what the positioning of the market makers might be. But it's curious that this morning that it's kind of doing some unusual things. Well, there was a little bit of a liquidity hole at 30.5, but they're starting to nibble at the lower end of this and maybe want to go lower. It really looks like this is a currency-driven move, though. So that might explain why some of the things based on order flow don't seem to be in line right now. Oh, here's a Mohammed A. El Arian talking about the French government thing. I totally forgot about that. That is a good one to know. Because I think that that's part of why you're seeing so much movement in the dollar itself. Like, there are crazy things happening in other countries. It's kind of funny that the U.S., because we don't think of the U.S. as like super stable or anything like that, but like it's probably the prettiest horse in the glue factory. You know what I mean? Nassim Taleb retweeting a story about the United Healthcare CEO assassination, saying skin in the game is back. People are saying crazy things off of this news story that when I was talking at the beginning of this stream, I was kind of like, well, I'm saying some controversial things. Gotta be careful here, right? I've seen some people say absolutely crazy things. It's shocking to me that people feel comfortable enough to say things like that. What do you think about Dogecoin? Stay away. Stay away. Probably there are like temporary moves up in it, but it's an insanely inflationary coin that makes it a poor investment. And the issue is that, like, flows in Bitcoin are random, and so if you're gonna play Bitcoin, I really think that you have to like play the longer game. But then you can't really play the longer game in Dogecoin. We could come and look at it. What are they at? They having a move. Huh? Oh, it's at 45 cents. That's not bad. Let's see here. Let's go to like a full 1 year. Oh, no, we got to go further than that. Oh, wow. They're actually making a run at all-time highs, are they? All-time high was 56. Elon coin. Yeah, maybe. One of the things is that the Dogecoin holders, they want to hit a million. Or, sorry, not a million, $1. I'm very, very skeptical that they could hit $1, though. Like, the market cap that they would need for that. Okay, 147 billion is the total supply of Dogecoin. Right? 147 billion. Let's come and look at, I haven't looked at Koifin in a while. I haven't looked at Koifin. Hold on. Okay, so what did I say? 147 billion, and Goldman Sachs is worth 197 billion. Okay, maybe dollars. Maybe $1 isn't insane. Would be hard to get much beyond that, though. So what is Apple? Oh, it's 3 trillion is Apple. Apple is 3 trillion. Okay. So let's see what it would take for them to be worth as much as Apple. 3 million billion, right? 100,000 million billion trillion. 3 trillion. Divided by 147 million billion. It'd have to be $20. Okay. The one thing about Doge that they do have going for it, like it creates a ton of supply, but at the moment, at least, the mania is faster than the supply, right? So, but like this one is gambling, man. Like, I don't know if I can really predict how far it will go. We don't really have any good reason to think that we'd be able to predict those flows. I don't know. I don't know how long they can hold this for. I don't think I've ever seen a situation quite this extreme in the treasuries. So I suspect that it has to bounce back, but let's see what it actually does. I probably need to try and disconnect myself from the outcome here a little bit more. Took half of the full. So you mean you took profits at that 29? Thinking back on it, 26 evens seems like a little too far, huh? Okay, that was a fast click. Okay, I'm gonna try one here. I don't feel a lot of strong conviction on this, but I did like the way that ticked up, so. Gonna try and make it a little bit because 29.5 is kind of the higher end of that hole. So it's a little bit worse position than I would prefer, right? Okay. Well, that was good. The bid on that one is just so far. Oh, there you go. You madman. I don't know, man. I feel like that this one is pretty milquetoast compared to the ones that I see you take. the ones that really work out for you, I'm always like, holy crap! I can't believe that worked. Because they're always during like the really big downtrends that I'm just like, don't stand in front of this train, guys. Don't just don't. Now the issue is that there was kind of a little bit of a hole at 30.5, right? So I want to see it go boom out of this first. If it starts to hang around there too long, I might just have to take it off there. Okay. Getting a lot of clicks here, man. And they are on the offers. It's only about 600 contracts, but so did you see them stack a little bit there at 0.0 half when we ticked up that time? Watch the people up. Oh, at 31 half. Interestingly enough, the VWAP is at the break-even line in the cost basis, so but I'm kind of betting on there being the liquidity at 111 and them wanting to go to 111. I might be cutting it a little bit too close, but it seems okay for now. So let's just let them do their thing. See, they had an opportunity to take the offer there at 31 half, and it didn't tick up that time. And then that time it ticked up, and not a lot bid, and it didn't hold. Maybe some concern about iceberging there. That's a little bit better. And some going off at 111. Definitely not going to get that filled, so we can cancel that. Okay. So that when it ticked back down, the offer solidified up a little bit more quickly than I would like. Same with that one, man. I think that on the way that I would want to play this trade, that I should have had at 31 half. It's not that often that it comes back quite like that. I think, though, I'm going to... I think I'm going to keep it here. I think I'm going to, like if it comes back all the way down, I'll just start market making that area again. Actually, it's kind of starting to seem like they can move in that whole area between 30 and 111 even fairly easily. And I am seeing a reversal in the Japanese yen, but not the dollar. The dollar just keeps going down. I think it's been 15 cents so far in the dollar. Forgot about that email. That's fine. You know what's interesting about this video that I put out this week is that, the video did okay in the beginning. I kind of wonder if my editor is, sent some people over to comment on it. But the biggest impact that I'm seeing is that I'm seeing a lot more comments on my other videos now for some reason. So that's really interesting. Still clicking a lot there. Which price is it at? Oh, now it's on the bid at 30. Tax your unrealized gains. You want to talk about that? This is one that I really think that a lot of the things that people are saying are kind of silly. Like, I understand where they're coming from, but they're not really looking at the whole system here. So, like, if you try and tax unrealized capital gains, there's like some real problems with that. Namely that markets are affected by orders very strongly. So if billionaires have to sell off a portion of their stock every year, that's like really, really gonna hurt the stock market. Like that move alone could create a deep recession, sort of a thing. Like, it wouldn't be like a huge deal at first, but as time goes along, like, that would really cause a lot of problems. So a lot of the billionaires have been trying to like negotiate with it, right? They're like, well, we totally understand why people are upset about it, because billionaires can like borrow stock against it and you can't do that. And so it gives them access to capital that other people don't have. That's not fair, right? So what if you only get taxed on it when you take a loan against it? So in order to take a loan against those stocks, you have to pay the capital gains on it or something like that. Well, that's silly, because what are you doing? When you take out a loan, you are printing money. You're printing money when you take out. That's basically what happens. Is the bank prints new. That's how new money is created, is by taking out loans. Remember, all money is debt. So what are you going to do? You're going to let them create new money by taking out debt, and then at the exact same time, you're going to take some of that money back out through taxation, right? Like, it doesn't make sense. You're just like making it more difficult to make money, like to increase the money supply. Right? Like, you could come in and you could put rules and make the rule that like the amount of money that you're able to borrow is relative to the value of the stock is less, because I think you can only do like 70% of the value or something like that, right? Okay, it would have the same impact on the money supply. So the whole thing just is kind of not make sense, right? Well, what do you guys think about my target being at 111 there? I only picked that because of the big round number. It really looks like we're starting to get a real flow come through long. It makes sense if you don't want a merchant class. I kind of feel like that a lot of these discussions are really about envy, because the quality of life of even some of the poorest Americans is better than the quality of life of people 50, 100 years ago. Like it's absolutely insane, the change in the quality of life that we've had. Okay, like you have literal supercomputers in your pocket. Houses are bigger. The quality of the food is better. Like it's just like every metric it's better than it was 50 years ago. The only metric in which we've kind of come down is like Gini coefficient. Like how much wealth do the richest people have compared to the poorest people? So like even though the quality of life of the poorest people is going up like big time, that's not going up as much as the quality of life of the billionaires, right? And so why are we concerned? Because we could have the money from the billionaires, maybe. Wow. It may well be the case that it's just in order to improve the quality of life of people down at the bottom that you have to allow some people to be super hyper wealthy. Like really the issue is that the issue in our society, I think, is that the government has become too large a portion of GDP. So government expenditures needs to come down. Otherwise that will be too big of a burden on our growth and hurt the value of the dollar in the long run. Okay, so 01 is the open. That's 01 is looking like that would have been a better place for me to have put my stop. I tell you what, they almost faked me out of that trade because I did not like that it was coming back. And I was like, well, I guess if it comes back, I'm just going to deal with it. And then they're like, okay, fine. We're not going to fake that out. Let's go up and take him out. We did. So I'm going to give that trade an A-. That was a pretty good trade. It was one of the better trades that we've taken in a while. It was, the thing I liked about that trade is that I've always had a hard time taking trades during periods when I think that the market maker is kind of going to be more in charge, and when I think that it's going to be like mean reversion. The unusual thing about this one was that we did get that mean reversion, but I got a pretty strong signal there on the DOM, didn't I? That one, I think it's kind of hard to describe what it was that I saw, but it ticked back up at 29 really quickly, and that bid solidified up really quickly. There was just immediately clear to me that the momentum had flipped. So there was a lot of cool things about that trade. It's one that we could go and look back on. For a moment they were kind of like hinting that they were going to come all the way back across. So like 0.2 would be another place to look at, right? Wow. r/Buttcoin thread has a thread that says all the crypto bros are pouring in here like bitter X's. Did we really hurt their feelings that badly? Because Bitcoin hit 100,000. There's 75 comments on that thread. I saw something the other day that was like, at what point would you be wrong? And I think that people misunderstand the case against Bitcoin, because the case against Bitcoin is not that the price of Bitcoin won't go up. The case against Bitcoin is that it's a negative for society. So, like, where would I be wrong about Bitcoin? If it started to get used. Like if the actual amount of like retail, like people using Bitcoin to buy things, like hit new all-time highs. Because what has happened is Bitcoin was, its utility was decimated. They really came in and just handicapped it so that it would never compete with the dollar. And so now it competes with gold, essentially. Yeah, it competes with gold. That means, yeah, it could go up. I don't know if that means that, like, you know, someday it will be worth $1 million, or who knows. But that it will go up. It's interesting to me that that thread has that many comments. So what are people saying? I'm not really active in this sub, but I love seeing them say stay poor. And then you look at their profile and they have some low paying job. They probably have like $1,000 invested in Bitcoin from 2020. So they haven't made much, but actually have made nothing because they haven't cashed out. I think you're being generous in saying that they have $1,000. The people whooping and hollering about this are the loudest to probably have substantially less. Well, they think that so like the case against Bitcoin would be like hyper Bitcoinization is never going to happen, right? Oh, let's see here. Okay. I have some schedule issues this morning. Girls might have to. So the issue is they want me to take the girls to school at 8:30, which would totally be fine, except for that then nobody will be home to watch the toddlers. So I'd have to take the toddlers with me, which is a pain in the butt. So now I'm like, can't they just walk? Because I used to have to walk to school, so. It's about twice as long of a walk as when I was a kid, but it's not that long of a walk. It's downhill. Ponzi schemes still make people money until they don't. It is coming back down pretty quick here. So now I'm thinking like, okay, can I take it again? But my experience in this is that when you catch a really good one like that and then you try and do it again, it doesn't work, you know? Man, so much of the discussion on Reddit is about this healthcare CEO murder. Wow, United Healthcare has a 32% claim denial rate? That's nuts, actually. I can't believe it's that high. Does that count like they deny you and then you challenge it and they eventually r/trading. Are there any trading YouTube channels where the guru doesn't sell you a course? Well, oh dude, so this actually, that was going through this when I was like doing my research yesterday, right? And I had this strange epiphany. So stick with me here for a second because this epiphany is going to sound really stupid at first, okay? Other people can't write indicators. This whole time here, I'm just like, oh, it would be nice if I could, I could do this, or if NinjaTrader did this thing or that thing or the other. And there's literally, I've yet to come across something that like I really wanted to do in NinjaTrader, and like you just can't do it. Every once in a while, there's like these little things that like I don't know why you would want to do it, but like it's just like so off kilter from NinjaTrader that like, it kind of doesn't make sense to do it or whatever. But like in terms of like I want to analyze the market in a certain way, I can write anything possible, right? And other people can't do that. Okay, no duh, Seth. Other people can't do that. But once I started looking at the price action influencers, like I started to realize how their ecosystem works. Because see, to them, an indicator is a cost. Like a special indicator that not everybody has is for them to get that. They can't just write that. They have to buy it from somebody else. And so to them, an indicator is a cost. And so the thing that is enticing, I guess you could say, about the quote unquote price action approach is that you don't pay for that cost. You just have a raw chart on there. You're not adding anything on there or anything like that. You're just looking at the chart. And this has a certain impact on a creator that's pushing the price action, right? Because if you're a creator talking about price action, you're not going to be making money from providing software of some sort. So what do? You have to compensate for that. If you're going to make money as an influencer, you have to compensate by making money on courses and on Combine referrals. And that's why all of these guys on those YouTube channels push the funded trader evaluations so hard, because that's like the only way for those influencers to make money from the YouTube channel. You smell when I'm stepping in here? Keeping the positive mental capital after a big winner is one of the most important things every trader should incorporate. What are you saying here? Are you saying that I'm being too negative now? Wasn't a big winner. It was that trade that I took earlier, I really, really liked because it was a situation that I've struggled with in the past. So that's what I like about it. Anyways. So like, oh, okay. And the thing that is kind of interesting about it to me is that in the situations that some of these people are looking at, oh, I should do a video on that. I could make a video just about that. I don't know if I'm the best person to make a video like that because I don't think I'm very good at that sort of stuff. Bill Maher says he might quit HBO show after Donald Trump's election win. What? Why? Okay, that's weird. How about a hawk to a queen? Wait, isn't that already? I thought that was already a thing. It was a big scam already. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, I'm, the journey that I'm on right now is like, okay, so like we're doing okay with the trading. I would like to size it up, but like it's not so crazy the results that we're getting that like I'm going to make a living from it or something like that. And I really would not recommend trying to make a living from trading. And I see a lot of people out there suggesting that that's what you should be going for, or that's what they're doing. And I think that they're full of crap. Some of these people, the ones that are like calling it out the loudest, I really think that they're just straight up lying to people, to be honest with you. And, there's a certain limit to you on that, right? Because I think that people want to see the social proof, right? They want to see it like, oh, well, but they've become super rich from trading. So that's why I want to follow that person, right? Okay. So maybe at some point we do need to do that, but now it's not the time. So we just shelve that. I think that I'm a better programmer than I am a trader. Like I think I've gotten pretty good at trading, but I can do anything programming, and I can do things programming that other programmers can't do. Like I really, man, all the time. What's the thing that drives me crazy on TikTok? Any kind of tech influencer, they're like, you should do this. Why should you believe me? Because I've been in the industry for 6 years and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay. Like, that's nothing. That's nothing. I've been doing this 15 years. And I would even say 20 years if you count like the years that I did things in high school and college, because I was programming even back then. You know? And so there was this one video with a guy, and he was doing that. I'm like, okay, whatever. We just watch the video. And then he's like, okay, here are all of the different roles. There's this one. You're doing software development. Here's this one that's cloud development. And this one is data engineering, pipeline development. And this one is AI. And I'm like, oh, I've done all of those. I've done all 4 of those roles. In some form or another. Maybe not like that's the full-on role, but like I've done projects with all of those things, right? And then when it comes to NinjaTrader, like I was doing my research and I came across one guy that he did have some NinjaTrader indicators and he was selling it for like $200. And I'm like, that's just an afternoon for me to write that. Those indicators aren't that special at all. I can't believe that people would spend $200 on it. And maybe there's more than the 4 that he was showing, but like for the 4 that he was showing, it's like, that is not worth it. Am I the top tier NinjaTrader programmer? I'm thinking I'm up there. There's probably some guys out there that we would never see or know about, like maybe people that are working on like some of the really, really big indicator suites that are out there that are like whole companies now, right? But with the level of expertise that I have in it now and the uniqueness of our indicators and everything, we should be like one of those companies. We really should. So like the further along that I get, the more that I'm like, yeah, you really do need to invest more in marketing the indicator suite. Which is what kind of brought me to this thing. Was like, okay, well, let's see, like, look at some other YouTube channels around NinjaTrader and what they're doing and yada, yada, yada. And then that brought me to the price action guys. Well, I'm realizing that, well, the reason that they like the price action is because they don't have to spend money. They don't have to put anything into that cost of an indicator. But it's funny that the spots that they're looking at are places where I think the order flow can be really instructive on what's happening, you know? So it's kind of funny that they ignore the order flow. I mean, the issue is that once you start looking at the order flow, you probably come to the conclusion that what you were looking at in price action was nonsense. But I think you can make the convincing argument to the person that's really, really dedicated to the price action thing that order flow will really enhance their trading, you know? So would you say price action trading is not the correct route to spot decisions? So the issue, so there's a couple of issues with the question that you're asking because it's a little bit too broad of a thing, right? Because price action trading is not necessarily very clearly defined, right? But what I will say is that analyzing a single time price series is not very predictive. And there's no really good empirical research backing these sorts of ideas up. So like every time that I've found empirical research really strongly showing a behavior in the market or a strategy in particular, it almost always involves breaking that one key thing about the data that I just said, which is that you're analyzing a single time price data series. Every strategy that I've ever seen always involves bringing in some other set of data. So like statistical arbitrage is analyzing 2 or more time price series and then doing things based off of that, right? So that breaks price action. The order flow is bringing in the data from the depth of market and doing analysis from the depth of market. And there are some sort of scalping, what would we call it, high frequency trading edges there, available there, right? But you just have one chart. You just have one chart of the S&P 500, and you're looking at and they say you should trade naked charts. Okay, so you have a naked chart, but let's go a little bit further and say you can put RSIs and moving averages and any other kind of thing that you can generate just from that chart, from that time price series. I've never found any empirical evidence that there is any advantage to gain from doing that whatsoever. Not on a day trading time frame. So now that I've kind of put all of the nuance into it, I do kind of feel like, yeah, price action is not the correct route to spot decisions. I think that most of the people in the price action trading space are just being fooled by randomness, is what I think. But prove me wrong, right? Like, generate some empirical evidence that suggests that there is some sort of a pattern that we can look at and utilize, right? So I'm coming back here now. Okay, let's see. Is he breaking? China tells all citizens in Syria to evacuate immediately. Ooh. Was that what I heard the news squawk saying something, and was it that? There has been some crazy stuff happening in Syria. Like the rebels have started to do well. So what do I do? What do you do instead of price action? Well, what we do is we try to predict future order flows. So we have all of these things that are going on, like the French government basically failed yesterday, and they're going to have to rebuild their government, except for that they can't do that for a year. So I don't know what's going to happen there. We have a non-farms payroll tomorrow, so that's kind of going to put a damper on any like really big transactions going through. And so based on that, I'm expecting a session that's dominated primarily by the market makers, with some moves and trends possibly created by currency flows. So then I come in and I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, we're down by quite a bit. Seems like the market maker has acquired a lot of inventory. So if this flow in the Japanese yen kind of subsides, which it did, we should be on the lookout for a little bit of a reversal. And then I'm watching the DOM, looking for that reversal. And we saw it at 29.5, kind of like a tick up in the treasuries that was unusual. So then we take the trade there, and that's what I do. It's a perfect example of how I do it, right? I predict the order flows, look for confirmation in the current flows that I'm seeing on the DOM, and manage to trade. So let's going back to, what was it that I knew what Uzi was referring to when he said it, but I forget what it was now. Some crazy guy in your chat tried to drill that in your head. I remember that I was like a top tier Ninja Trader programmer, or that I needed to advertise my indicators more heavily. I'm not sure. Whole thing is kind of weird to think about. But so when I was doing all of that research, like my first thought was, I'm not so sure that, trying to get other influencers on board to help me promote my indicator suite is going to work. Just because I think that many of them aren't going to be interested in it. But what I've decided to do is I'm still going to try and pursue it. Still try and reach out to them and see if I can get any of them. It's going to do the cold calling. Okay, a big problem is that we don't know a transaction that happens is taking profit or a new entry. Yes and no. So that is definitely a problem that when you look at volume, you don't know whether they're getting in and out and how those things are kind of sorting out. But one thing that you can do, there's one kind of assumption that you can kind of make. This is like a really oversimplification, right? So what we're doing is we're making a heuristic here, right? So there's really big problems with heuristics, but people work on heuristics, and the heuristics tend to work because other people are using them, right? And the heuristic that you can use here in this situation is just assume that market orders are informed traders or people that need to buy a ton of something, and that limit orders are market makers just trying to make money off of the spread. So if you just start with that assumption, then you can game out this situation like what we just had. It's early on in the session, and you can see that the market makers are taking on a lot of inventory in that situation. Like, you just assume that because it's the beginning of the session and there's fills on limits, that those are them adding to their inventory. And you can do that, yeah. And if you know, based on the flows, that the market maker is probably going to be in charge in the market, then that can be a powerful, piece of information analysis. Nick says, makes sense. Oh, I'm so glad that made sense, because I'm always afraid that that framework is too confusing for people. Just because, not that it's super complicated, but that it's so different from what people know, right? So essentially you create algorithms based on fundamental data, but isn't that backed into the price, which can over time create pattern recognitions? Okay, so no. So first of all, I'm not necessarily creating algorithms on what I would call fundamental data. I don't differentiate between fundamental and technical or anything like that, okay? To me, data is data. And the question is that particular data series able to predict future orders? And if I have some reason to believe that it does, like I have some evidence to suggest that it does, and a lot of the time there are empirical studies about these sorts of things, okay, then that's when I start to incorporate it, okay? So a good example would be seasonality. There's a lot of seasonality in commodities, right? And that's something that you can factor into your flows. So is that fundamental information? Well, I mean, kind of not, but maybe it is, because it's just it's analyzing past price movements to some extent, right? But really what you're doing is you're taking every year and turning that into a price series and then doing an analysis, right? So that one's kind of a little bit weird, right? But that's, so I don't differentiate on the data. Now I'm also not necessarily making an algorithm, because the things that are going to move the market today, it's always very, very unique. Hold on a second. So Ethan is awake, and he only has a diaper on. So at some point he might want to come in here. But I can deal with that right now. But let me finish answering Nick's question. I am a 22-year-old college student with a passion for trading. Well, how far are you into college? Where are you going to school at? If you have a real passion for trading, then what you should be trying to do is you should be trying to get to work for an institution, right? Do real trading. What we do here on this stream is for those of us that have screwed up somewhere along life. Didn't realize that that's what we wanted to do until it was too late. But if you're still in school, especially if you're going to a university, you can make a switch and do quant. That's what I would do. Let's move over into a quant program and try and get hired by Jane Street. Like if I all of a sudden I went back in time, or like I was just suddenly 19 years old again or something, that's what I would do. Because I'd be, okay, I'm going to like re-gear my whole life towards let's go get hired at Jane Street. At this moment, though, they're the quant guys that I think I admire the most. Okay, anyways, what was I saying? Okay, I don't necessarily create algorithms based on fundamental data. It's not necessarily an algorithm as much as it is kind of me utilizing my intuition and just kind of listing things out and gaming it out in my mind. Because the things that are going to move the market today is different from the things that are going to move the market tomorrow, and it's constantly in flux. This is something that I think you could create an algorithm for, but like you're going to be constantly creating new models and algorithms for all of the different flows that you possibly know of, and there's countless ones. So that's something that, like, if I had a whole technology department, if I was a quant firm, then I could probably write that. But for our purposes, just being able to list out the flows that we know of and the impacts that we think that they will have is usually enough for us to get a decent trade. Okay. Now, the larger question was, isn't that backed into the price? And the answer is no. So you have to understand the nature of market efficiency. So we're typically told that how do I say this? The traditional opinion in the marketplace is that markets are efficient, and there's different levels of efficiency. So they have, like, there's a strong form and a weak form, and like the weak form is that the market includes past prices, and the strong form is that it includes all available information, something like that. Hold on a second. I'm hearing the kid cry. Nope, he's unhappy that mom left. We'll go and grab him in a second, okay? Let me finish here. So, the reality of the market efficiency is this. The markets are very statistically efficient and not informationally efficient. So that means if I take that single time price series and I do some sort of an analysis on it to try and predict what it's going to do in the next 30 minutes or even in the next day, doesn't work very well. Doesn't work very well. Past prices are not very indicative of what future prices are going to do. But if I expect the current market price to be reflective of all available information that's out there, it doesn't. It's not even close. And the reason why and the problem is because there's so much noise. There's so many things that are going on out there in the market, and all of those things have a really strong impact on the price. So Every person, especially these institutions, any institution that comes in and trades it, they're going to have an impact and they're going to move it. And that just results in a lot of chaos, right? So the market tries to be informationally efficient, but the reality is that with the way that it's set up, it's just really hard for it to be like that. Does that make sense? So that's how we're able to come in here and say, well, these are the flows that we're expecting to come into the market. And that's not already reflected in the price because there's other things going on. The market just can't. It's the way that it works kind of works against things being informationally efficient. So that's the answer. Okay, so let's go and take care of Ethan here. This is going to be a bit. My goodness, Chad. So like not even a minute ago he was like crying his head off, and now he's watching cars on the TV and he's making all the silly noises and it's just fine. What's with that, Ethan? What's with the bipolar? He's probably ADHD. Let the kid trade. Yeah, Asher might do it, but the thing, here's the thing. He's probably a savant. So I'm kind of hoping that Asher stays asleep, but I don't think that he's going to. 'Cause I'm just meeting with somebody after this, and basically I'm going to have kids there. Okay, but there's the thing. Especially with Asher, like, you cannot teach them something unless you're okay with them doing that thing and taking it to, like, the worst extreme that you can do it, right? Like, as an example, I threw a blanket at him one time, and he thought that that was absolutely hilarious. And now all he ever wants to do is try and bury his brother in all the blankets. Like, this is the whole thing that would have been like, I have to watch them like a hawk, because he would, like, literally smother his brother. One time, my wife let him eat the ice cream out of the ice cream bucket, and he refuses to eat any other way now. Every time. So you have to buy him his own ice cream, because he'll, like, leave it out too long and it melts and all of this stuff. But he has to eat it out of the bucket. He won't do it if you put it in a bowl. He throws a complete fit. Right? So if I showed him how to place trades on the Dom, he would almost certainly start coming in and start doing it. He would almost certainly start coming in and taking trades. No joke. Like, he uses the desktop, and he knows how to navigate through to the desktop. Didn't you see him the other day when we had him in here? By the way, this is getting kind of a little bit wild here in December, but because I'm watching the kids so often, my wife is working 3 out of 5 days a week. But did you not see that, like, when I had him on my lap, the first thing he did was take the mouse away and try and open up Minecraft? He knows how to do it. He just spammed the book. Yeah, he would. He would just click a bunch of orders all over the place. Dude, stop moving the microphone. So the question now is, will Asher stay asleep until the stream is ended? Or do I want him to stay awake and asleep until the stream is ended? Because that's a little bit late for him. Accidentally become the best spread trader on the planet. So my mom was, or sorry, my wife, not my mom. I was gonna say mom. My wife had, like, an SCP with to go over the education plan for him and all of that sort of stuff. And they were showing him what they've taught him how to do. And they have a little iPad that's just for that they provide that has, like, a little board with buttons that you push so that you can, like, make sentences and things like that. And he can make sentences with it. So there may be this situation in the future. We don't know how it's going to work, because when I try and get him to say things, he just can't seem to figure it out. But I could foresee a situation in the future where, like, he's able to talk with the computer, but he's not able to talk. Isn't that crazy? I've heard of things like that. Like, there's a character in the 100 Girlfriends That Really, Really, Really Love You that is like that, but man. A Freudian slip right there. Maybe. You know what, man? Like, it's really hard right now with, like, you have to watch the kids. you're like, that's your whole focus. And I'm ADHD, so that's really, really difficult for me to do, right? I want to come in and browse the internet and start a programming project and be going hard on all of these things. You know what? I've gotten enough time through all of this to accomplish a lot, right? Like we got the indicators into a really good spot, for instance. But we've put out so many videos. Like I'm worried that we get to February and I'm gonna have to come up with new video ideas because we're almost through the ideas that I was looking for. So we've done a lot, but I could certainly do a whole lot more. I don't know what I would have done if I had that extra time. Maybe I would have just wasted it. But so your whole day you're watching the kids, right? And so when the other parent comes home, it's like, okay, now they're gonna watch them and I can go and do something else or relax or something, but like, you don't have energy to do anything at that point. And so we're both just kind of on that cycle all the time. And so the relationship is not, I wouldn't say that it's like mommy sort of a thing, but it's a more like we just want to lay down and cuddle and then go to sleep and that's it. You know? So I really wish that I'm really frustrated that I haven't been able to find a new job yet. But I really feel like that there's anything that I could have done about it. You know, like I do think that man. So like I can go back and I can think about like, okay, how did I lose my job? Well, I guess there were some mistakes that were made, but they weren't really mistakes that would justify somebody losing their job, you know? I really think that they were looking to reduce payroll, you know what I mean? And then the jobs that have been available and the jobs that I, haven't gotten and everything, it's just kind of like luck of the draw, you know? This job market is insane, man. It's insane. So I have until basically March before like it starts to be a problem. And I'm, think that we should be able to do a lot better in January and February because people have more budget and all of those sorts of things. But in the meantime, it's incredibly, because you're just like in limbo the whole time. You know what I mean? It's frustrating. And, I guess the other thing that's like a real problem here is that my wife's job is a flight attendant. So like, if her job was like she had a remote job or something like that, then it'd be like no problem, right? Because like, okay, so what if I just go down? What if I just go down a level, I get a job that I know I can get? Because again, we're sitting here, we're like, I am maybe possibly one of the top Ninja Trader programmers out there, right? So that's like a rare skill. That's like a valuable skill in every, like, I can do some really amazing things, but maybe because of the job market and everything else like that, I have to take a few steps down, right? But then the problem is that if I do that, then she can't work as much. And so then like what, so there's a certain level of below that it's like, it's not worth it for me to do that, So that's the thing I'm facing right now. But that's part of also why it's like, well, we have until March to try and, take advantage of the skills that I have, right? I think we got some good stuff. Like, I don't know. I've been watching all this stuff about entrepreneurship, like I've been watching a lot of Y Combinator videos and everything. And I'm in a pretty good spot compared to most entrepreneurs, actually. Because most entrepreneurs, like, they're starting and like they don't even know what their product is going to be, or they're still working on, you know, how do I get to the minimum product? I already have the product and it's been there for a long time, and I just have to figure out how to grow it, right? So that's a much easier problem to solve. I hope. But I think I got a plan. We're going to get, you know, we're going to make a couple more Ninja Trader videos. And we're going to make a bunch of videos about the indicators themselves. Going to try talking to other YouTubers. And then, you know, if all that doesn't work, we can even start to like use Google Ads and stuff and see where that takes us. So I do think there is an audience out there to make it work. And I do believe that I have a quality product that is superior to everything else that's out there. Oh, so they did make it to that cost basis, huh? I tell you what. I didn't think they were going to do it. I should use like the shapes. I should use the shapes. Yeah. That's pretty good. I've really never seen anything that is just so clean when it hits those lines, man. It's always been like, oh, well, I see why you think that line matters, but like, I think that it's actually random. It is, but I just don't understand how that could be random. I don't understand how to collect empirical data about price's reaction to a line. It'll be clean as crap until you actually trade it like anything else. Well, I think that what happens, so like what if, oh my gosh, Ethan, no. Stop that. I'm gonna break that. So if this becomes popular and it starts to like have an impact on the market, you know, what starts to happen? Well, a little bit of popularity can actually help it, right? So, and I think that to the size that we would scale up to, it might actually help it. But we wouldn't want it to get too good because then it will really like take off, right? And then it will stop working. But like the thing is that market makers do acquire inventory and have to deal with that and everything. So it's like, I think that the behavior could change, but the lines will still be useful. It will just be like the way in which they're useful maybe changes, you know? There has to be a constant you can, what do you mean by that? Oh, you mean like it is be set up like when it comes to this line, like I think that one, like the naive strategy here would be, if I've touched this line, then I want to see it touch this line, right? There has to be a constant. Market makers building inventory is a constant. It's always going to be happening. Yes. You're right. So this will always be able to tell us something. It's just that the way that plays out might change over time. Octavia says, do you run on a weekly basis? I have not run the indicator on a weekly basis. So let me show you what happens when you do that. I mean, I've never pulled up a chart like that. Let's pull it over here. Oh, did I change it over here? I don't know if you're even looking, whatever. Let's put it on ZN in a 30-minute. So I've never done this, but I bet you I know what's going to happen. Okay, 30-minute bars, optimized candlestick, 21. No, let's just do the last 5 days, because I don't have something to tell it like start at the beginning of the week or beginning of the month. I could add that in there pretty quickly. Okay, but here's should give us a couple of days, right? So we'll just have it. It'll start from the beginning and it will just show us over this whole chart, right? Oh, and did I turn tick replay on? I did. Okay. Because theoretically, the longer that time goes on, the less effective the lines should be. Theoretically. So like it works really good if you're starting it at the beginning of our session, or maybe the beginning of the overnight session, because not necessarily a whole lot happens during that time. But then after our trading session, I find that the lines are not as instrumental unless there's like a really, really big market move of some sort, like a big news story that comes out. Did I add it on there? Oh, I didn't even add it on there. What the hell? I'll have it not do the caching bit. I'll add debug. Okay. There you go. Oh, actually, it's not too bad. Oh, no, wait. I have the property set wrong. Reset on session, uncheck. There you go. I don't know. That is kind of... Okay. Maybe if you do it on a weekly session, it is still useful. Huh. Uzi says, "Huh." You're as surprised as I am, aren't you? I don't know why it's not drawing the lines from over here. Maybe that's just it needs 10 bars first bit. It's very. Oh yeah, let's add that on here. Oh, VPOC. I do have a volume point of control thing, but I thought you meant volume weighted moving average. I have ways of showing that, but not like a super great way of showing it that would work on this kind of a chart. Didn't I have one that was just like point of control that like would move as it goes along? I seem to remember programming something like that. We could program it right now if we wanted to, but I'm just going to trust Octavius that one of those lines looks like the VPOC. Interestingly enough, it suggests that the buyers have taken on a lot of inventory today, right? Which was kind of the thing that got us like, it might bounce here. It might be trap traders and stuff. I tell you what, this is the, the thing that I've always had with this indicator, like the problem, I guess you could say, that I always seem to have with this indicator is that I always underestimate it. It's really weird. I mean, the reason for that is because I did do things where, I had take replay out and I did back tests over a year's time frame. And, I wasn't really able to build a really great strategy with it. But I think that that's just a matter of I think that that's just a matter of I just need to spend more development time on it. What were we talking about that prompted you to ask that? I don't know. What I'm thinking about. I don't know. These other ones show interesting things too. So if we look at this, so this again is this thing that I've been trying to show on the resting orders filtered. And when I did it before, I was doing it on ES, which it's not really doing a good job today on the ES. But there was a problem with the data over on this side that crashed these two that I need to look at. But do you see these places where it switches? Right? And like, where did those happen? There. Let's like use an arrow to like really make sure that we've got it right. So like right there was a change, and that's when we got a little bit higher. And then right there was a change, and that was kind of like the low of that move. And then right there was a change, and that turned into a range. So it does seem to me like it does a good job at. Now this the normal resting orders one is actually doing some weird stuff, because this, where the white line and the gray line are on opposite sides, that is an unusual situation. I'm going to have to pay attention to that. See if it does that. Is that like a good sign that we're building out a range? It kind of did it a little bit right here as well. Could that be a sign of a liquidity hole? So, and you know what? Like, so here's the other thing that I've started to realize is like, we just keep adding stuff to it. Okay, so like if I come in and somebody asks me, okay, well, what is in your indicator package? And I think the two that are my favorite that I like to talk to people to try and sell them on it is the dollar index and the inventory cost basis, right? And then after that, the ones that I'm the most interested in are the level 2 ones. But then there's the news indicator, the one that draws the news on your chart. There's the gap one. That one's actually really good. There's Alice, which is, well, I don't know. I don't find Alice that interesting just because you get to a point where I can kind of tell you what Alice is going to say. But it's still, it might have some use in some algorithms. So we want to look at that. And then there's all of these other things they could put on there. So yesterday somebody was was having an issue with the backtesting, and they were backtesting on Kagi bars, and I was like, well, what if we made an indicator that showed you those values instead, and then you'd be able to run it. So that's something that we could try. There's the chart. Oh, so here's something that came up that I think I'm going to add. So there's a guy there's a YouTuber, and he likes to use delta momentum. It's an indicator, delta momentum. So what delta momentum does is it says like, okay, what was the net buying and selling for that bar? But then if this bar is a buy and the previous bar was a buy or whatever, they just like stack on top of each other. So you get this thing that kind of looks like this, and then when it flips around, it goes like this, right? And you get that sort of a thing. So it's kind of cool. It gives you a good idea of like what the cycles are doing and stuff like that. But and he had a video about it that had a lot of views, and it linked to the NinjaTrader ecosystem and all of that. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh, I wrote that. I wrote that. I wrote delta momentum. It was something that Gomicators kind of did, and John Bottomley wanted it, so I wrote that for him, and then he put it on the NinjaTrader ecosystem. And I think maybe he made some changes to it, and I think that there was maybe some stuff that was, so I'm not the sole creator of it, but I wrote that. and not only did I write that, but I looked back through my scripts, because in the video he was like, I wish that there was a version of it that worked without the NinjaTrader's order flow suite. Well, there is. The whole thing was I wrote one that worked without the NinjaTrader order flow suite. But I didn't put it out because, I didn't want to make something that like steps on NinjaTrader's toes. So I think I'm going to convert that over into one that, again, does the caching and all of that sort of stuff and add that on into the suite. And then maybe see if that guy wants to try it. I guess he wouldn't be able to give it to his audience unless his audience bought that indicator suite. But so yeah, there's like a lot of stuff in the indicator suite. We're probably going to add more. I think that the place that I'm getting to now is like, okay, like I did the thing that I wanted to do. So now what I should be doing is I should be making things that are really kind of more geared towards the way that other people trade, even if I don't think that there's anything to the way that they trade. I don't know what I can make that will be that the price action traders will like, but I think that we can work that out. And then that would be a gateway to them trying out the order flow indicators and then finding, oh, actually, the order flow indicators give me really good hints about what's going to happen in the spots that I'm looking at. Oh, there's Asher. Hold on. Saying Ali, good morning, G. Hey, how are you doing? Wait, are you, no. I know another Ollie, but I think you're a different Ollie. What's going on in the S&P 500? I didn't even know. Like, how long has this been going on for over here? Okay, maybe 15 minutes. Look at the delta on that sell. Way bigger than all of this behavior. That's something else. That's interesting. Obsidian says I'm fully putting energy commodities onto the back burner and focusing on interest rates right now. Oh, okay. So, you know, there's a, oh yeah, I need to add this onto my list. So, so one of the things in momentum strategies is that the treasuries play an important part in how these strategies work. And one of the things that happens is you buy a bunch of treasuries and you do the basis trade on the treasuries and you make the money from holding them. And like, that's like part of how that it just kind of like enhances the results. Like you're gonna buy treasuries, like maybe treasury futures or whatever, and make money on them moving up or down in general, right? But then you're also going to hold the physical treasuries to back your other trades and make money on the interest from them and make money on doing the basis trade from them. And so I kind of wonder if some of the performance and momentum strategies that we've seen over the past 2 years is due to the interest rates changing. If that is the case, and we go in and we're going to begin another regime like that because of Donald Trump and whatnot, then the commodities are going to be the place to play. Not necessarily energy commodities so much, but, you know, like I think that we could be trading oil. We could be, you know, and then the hard commodities for sure. So like copper, corn, soybean, you know, like basically all of the things on the CME. Eurobuns have been very volatile this morning. Oh yeah, I bet. I mean, so I haven't seen that much activity in the treasuries themselves. It kind of seems to me that the treasuries and the yields over here in the United States have been pretty separated from that. But we have seen a lot of currency movements because of it. So, and that in turn affects the treasuries because of that. So we've been getting a lot of moves. Like at the beginning of our session, we were getting quite a bit of selling that appeared to just be the currencies moving. And that's weird. Ethan has decided to turn the fan on and is going to watch the show there in front of the fan. And Asher is watching his iPad on the couch and seems to be fine now. I'm a little bothered by like, okay, so he came out. He was mad that he couldn't get into the bedroom. Was it just like, okay, now he realizes that he couldn't get in the bedroom because mom's not home, and so now he's fine? Or was it that giving the iPad placated him? If it's giving the iPad placates him, that's a little bit it's a little concerning. Nah, U.S. Treasuries are muted today. I'm also getting into trading FX futures as well, because I think that there is some momentum in currencies as well. Please don't pick that up. Thank you. Oh yeah, I didn't finish the conversation with you there, Obsidian, but because we got non-farms tomorrow, I'm sure that there's some stuff going on in Europe that really should be affecting markets, but I think that the markets are sleeping on it a little bit because they don't want to do anything ahead of the non-farms. I mean, what if the non-farms tomorrow, what are the expectations? We should go into that. Because can you imagine what this market is going to do if it's a negative number again or something like that? Like, Or conversely, if it's like another one of those like huge outperformance. Okay, so they're expecting a non-farm employment change of 218, which is, I would say, low, but not crazy. 218, that is higher than what the expectation was for last month. Okay, so like if this comes out and it's like another almost zero, if not negative number, then this market might really start to like shift. Conversely, if it comes out and it's another 250 or even 300,000 beat, like we've had so many times, that would probably cause the treasury market to really throw a fit, right? So I think that this non-farms is a pretty big deal. I think there is a scenario where like it actually ends up being fairly in line, if not maybe a little bit weak. So like they're expecting 250 and like maybe we get 200 or something like that, right? But a situation where like the January and February numbers end up being really big too, but that's definitely what we're seeing today. And now I wonder, because, you know, we got a pretty good play early in the session. I'm happy with that because I feel like I haven't been taking as many trades, and part of that is maybe that we didn't have opportunities, but other parts of that was because I was distracted and or focused on other things. But today I wanted to come in and focus on a trade, and I was able to find a good one. Should I have kept trading it or not? I'm not sure. I mean, I guess there was some opportunity to make money on the little bit of fluctuations that we've had since then. But I think that the play that I made was the correct one. And that the further out we get, the worse the opportunity seems to be. So remind me, Obsidian, you have something else. I don't remember if you had a channel or something like that. Because I'm doing some work, like trying to research with people, you know, what sort of things, you know, tools they're using in NinjaTrader and where I can potentially, you know, just market research. What are some new indicators we can make that people would appreciate? People that aren't as much into order flow in particular. And or what they think of my order flow indicators. And, you know, I think that you would maybe be a good person to talk to about it too. Some of you other old hats in the channel, I really understand how I feel like I understand how you guys trade really well. Actually, you know what, though, like I'm thinking about like Octavius, for instance, right? Like I feel like I have a pretty good idea of how he trades, but are there things that we could add into NinjaTrader that would assist him? Probably there are, but I'm not quite sure what they would be. Some of them are, you know, there are some tools that are built into NinjaTrader and you just kind of make it work, right? The footprint? I could do the footprint. Well, but so on that point though, Amir, why don't you use the NinjaTrader footprint? You think that the NinjaTrader one is bad? Well, what do you want? What do you want it to see? What do you want it to do that it doesn't do very well? I have a straight up a footprint somewhere. Actually, I have I made like a custom indicator for D that was kind of like it would draw the little boxes at the bottom that you would have in addition to a footprint chart. And you know, like, and I have some base footprint code that I kind of like never finished. Like the ATAS footprint. I don't know what that means. I mean, isn't it just okay? So you get a footprint, you get the buys and the sells at each price, and then some sort of a histogram, and there's a couple of different options for how you, because in NinjaTrader you've got like 4 different options as to like what the histogram does, right? Or maybe you're not familiar with the NinjaTrader one, because maybe you don't have a full version of Ninja. Do you have a full version of NinjaTrader? Are you using NinjaTrader? Because they're called volumetric bars in NinjaTrader. You use MZ Pack. Yeah, I've heard of that one before. I'm not quite sure what's in it though. All the power. So this is where I get to like, okay, like how many people are in this organization? I'm kind of assuming that there's like a whole company behind it, but maybe it really is just like 1 or 2 guys. And it's, you know, they don't pull as much volume as the professionalness of their page would suggest. Indicators. Footprint. You have volume profile. A big trade. We click all of the things. And then market depth. Volume delta. Come on, you can give me a better picture of it than that. So this is where I get like, okay, lifetime for one device, $150. Oh wait, here's a picture. Here's a picture. Volume and delta modes. Okay, so it is just a cumulative delta / delta, and it has delta momentum. And what's this one? Buy volume, sell volume. Oh, iceberg. That's interesting. So they have some way of representing how much of that was part of an iceberg? I don't know if that would be useful, but I guess that's kind of cool that it shows it. I think that the price on that is probably fair. I mean, that's probably like a week's worth of work for me, but footprints. I don't pay price. Mm-hmm. So like for example, this right here. Okay. You can make the NinjaTrader volumetric bars look like that. Basically, so it's doing a histogram based on histogram that's of the buys and histogram of the sells. Then there's all of these metrics up here that are going to tell you different things. Like, I don't know, this one's probably all of the sells combined together and all of the buys combined together. And this is probably the percentage of them, right? This is how much it was compared. So that's probably 1770 minus 896, right? And then that is probably the total of all of the volume together, I think. Oh, no, that must be some sort of running cumulative delta. And that must be just the delta for that bar. So that's what all of those stats are. And then you're getting similar kind of stats down at the bottom, right? Yeah. So, but NinjaTrader does this. I wish I had, my setup to be able to show you the volumetric bars, but NinjaTrader's volumetric bars do that. So the question would be, what do you want in a footprint that the other footprints don't have, right? Because it wouldn't make sense for me to make a footprint just to have one that matches the features that MZ Pack has, for instance. I mean, I could do that, but if I was really going to put time into it, I would want to put something in the footprint that would be an explicit advantage. You know what I mean? So that's the question, is like, okay, so what do you want in a footprint that would be like an explicit advantage? Let's look at their other ones, though. Volume profile. It looks like a pretty standard volume profile. It does look like they have indicators for like, looks like they've got maybe VWAP bands on there or something like that. These are also things that I think that NinjaTrader, the default one, can do. I don't know you, man. I use DOM and Bookmap. Oh, okay. But you test everything. I hear you. Because what we're talking about is, so let me back up just in case you missed it. These are all of the indicators for things that I've looked at and things that I was interested that I built. There's lots of other things out there that other people look at that I'm not really interested in. Frankly, sometimes I think that they're nonsense, but they are popular and whatnot. And so I'm starting to look at, okay, what are some things that I can put into my indicator package for other people, even if I don't think that there's anything to them. But if I can do it better than other people, and I can, because you just have to have the idea, right? So that's kind of where I'm looking. Now, a footprint chart would seem to me to be like fertile ground, because they're super complicated. So there's probably all sorts of crazy things that we can do. It's just, where's the pain points for us to get ideas? I'm looking at this and I'm not sure that this one does anything that my bet is that MZ Pack made all of these long before NinjaTrader added their order flow stuff into the default package. And they probably used these guys' stuff as a kind of a base for like what features they wanted to add to it, is my guess. Big trade, how do they show that? Oh, that's interesting. They just draw a big box. Okay. Whatever. And what does their market depth one do? Oh, yep, it's just your typical market depth. But see, their product. I'll go back to the front part. Oh, okay. $300 for a lifetime. That's actually not too bad. And then they have strategies. What are their strategies? Because why not? Divergence. I'm not that impressed, to be honest with you. Sure looks cool. Some of them look cool. I did have a footprint, and a footprint that showed me some metrics. I don't remember what they were. I think I had a footprint that showed me like a cumulative delta difference. So like you have the ending cumulative delta for the bar, and then all of the other bars would show you what the difference was from there, so that you could calculate how many orders did it take to get to that spot, essentially. It's time for me to get going, guys. I will see you tomorrow.